What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents podcast where I discuss all things music. And today, my guest is a good friend of mine, Ryan Conway, and I have known Ryan for about 11 years. Back when I was living in Jacksonville, met him through playing shows as well as he was booking shows. And now Ryan does movie reviews on YouTube with Reviews with Ryan, ! Man. Check him out. Check out some of his latest reviews. He just did a review on the movie Separation, and he tells you why you should not watch that movie. But it's a good conversation, man. We talk about a lot of different things, including his time as a booker, including, some of the latest movies, some of the latest controversies with certain movies and stuff like that. But it's a good conversation and just a good time. And once again, man, I want to remind you guys, man, if you guys want to reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast, as well as Twitter, Podcast of Blue, man. It's been really, really exciting. Super, super thankful for everybody who's been listening lately. Shout out to the guys in Mangle, man. I see them views are climbing for their music video Mass Kill, man. Go check those guys out. But before we get started, listen to my man AJ and why you should be listening to the Roads We Travel podcast.
Hey everyone, AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life, their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today, I am joined by my good longtime friend, Ryan Conway of Reviews with Ryan. What's going on, Ryan, man? How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no worries, man. We were talking beforehand, man. I think I've known Ryan for about 10, 11 years now, man. It's been a long, long time, man. But it's been a longer time since I've talked to you, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Ryan, as everybody who joins my show, man, my first question for you today, and we're going to hit you with two versions of this because Ryan reviews movies as well as I've known Ryan to be a booker and in a band himself. So first, we're going to start off with Ryan's top 5 artists/bands.
All right. So in no order here, I'm just going to name the band and their album. So the Amity Affliction, Chasing Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Fear Before the March of Flames, Art Damage.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's see, Ghost Key.
Mm-hmm.
See This Through. And let's see, I have 2 other ones. Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory.
Of course.
And Like Moss to Flames, When We Don't Exist.
Oh, man. Yeah. Last 2 fucking perfect. I definitely agree with those last 2. I'm not sure who you said. Maskey? I've never heard that before.
Oh, Ghost Key.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't know who that is. Sorry.
It's okay. They're a hardcore band, actually.
Okay, cool. All right, Ryan. So now you got to answer my new top 5. Since you review movies, we might as well get your top 5 favorite movies.
Okay, so I like this horror movie called Midsummer.
Awesome. My wife would agree with you on that one.
Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
That's a good one.
I've watched that movie 1,000 times and just still love the laughs in that one.
Yeah.
We're the Millers.
Okay.
Saint Maud, which is another horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Sucker Punch.
Okay. It's kind of fantasy there, yeah. You got some comedies and you got some horrors, and nothing wrong with that, man. So Ryan, you're joining us today, man. Some people might know you for, you're doing reviews on YouTube now about movies and stuff like that. But a lifetime ago, before we had kids and we were married and stuff like that, Ryan used to book shows and used to play in a band, man. So let's talk about, how did it get started for you, Ryan?
So I'll just say that, I grew up listening to pop music. It's really funny because I tell this story and people just don't even connect the dots. But my first concert when I was 8 years old, I went with my mom to go see the Spice Girls.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, as a young kid, I'm sure that's definitely what you want to see. Hot young ladies on stage.
It's funny because when I went to that concert, my favorite Spice Girl actually quit the band the week of the show.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yes, it was pretty crazy. I mean, we drove at the time I was living in Maryland, and we drove down to Virginia to go check them out, and it was a cool little concert. It was a good experience for me personally. And growing up with pop music, that was just what I was listening to. I was listening, those now albums that they're still going. I think they're on 80 or something. I was listening to those top hits on the radio and stuff like that. I got really into that. And then my first rock album or punk rock album that I pretty much came across that I got into was The Offspring, Americana. Mm-hmm. And that really got me jump starting into rock music and heavier music. And I think I named it in my top 5. Linkin Park Hybrid Theory really got me into the direction of heavier music. Mm-hmm. And that's really what got it started for me as far as heavier music. And as I got older, I got into different bands. I started my first band when I was 14 with a bunch of guys, and we just kind of, jammed in the garage, and, we did a show or two. Didn't really pan out. Then I formed a couple other bands. I did an acoustic band and a couple other split genre bands. And then I did some other bands and, played at, as the Imperial and Fuel Coffee House. Just good times at those. I honestly, those venues are, always had good times at. And then I eventually started booking under what you've known as Knife Revenge Booking, and started doing, different genres of music. And, I just love doing, smaller bands and helping promote smaller bands. And I always had a good relationship with Bruce at the Pit. And that's pretty much what got me into all that. And I've always just loved different genres of music. And that's pretty much what got me started for the most part.
Yeah, man. I definitely remember those Knife Revenge Booking, man. There was definitely some shows that you brought that I thought were super cool. If I'm not mistaken, I remember we played Skylit Drive show. I think Johnny Craig was filling in during this time. Yeah, I think so. It was 07-ish. And I think we opened up the show, whatever the case is, because I think the drummer ended up using Dylan's drum set. I think that's what I remember from that evening, whatever the case is. But I do remember being a fan of Johnny Craig and being like, holy shit, what's going on here? But I think this is right after he had gotten the boot from the dudes in Dance Gavin Dance or whatever the case is. So a memory that I do have vividly is that show with you. So let's talk about your booking days, man. Let's talk about how you got started, maybe some of the artists that you brought through that have gone on to be, bigger or gone on to form other bands that we all know now.
So pretty much when I had gotten started, I pretty much was just doing, small, I always kind of stayed in the small mid-range of bands. I would say the highlight of bands that I've booked would be bands like In the Midst of Lions off of Face Down Records, These Hearts and Victory Records. There were I did a lot of other bands from Face Down, Take It Back and Wrench in the Works from Face Down. A lot of those Christian bands. I've worked with this, just a lot of different, up and coming, Florida bands and such. Just a lot of different bands, different genres, from rock to reggae to heavy music. I mean, just really everything, a little bit of everything. And it's just a fun thing. I just love putting together, just having like a good local scene with these smaller bands to help them up and coming and on their tours. And, it was just always a fun time. It wasn't ever about the money for me. It was just, just the fact of meeting new people and, hearing different types of music and just gathering different people together. I'm always a firm believer that you don't need to be just in with one genre of music. It's cool to combine different genres of music together. So that was kind of always my aspect when I did booking.
I think also too, the area of Florida that we were in, presents itself unique challenges, because I definitely, or not unique challenges, but unique situations, because I do definitely remember, I think one time you booked a show, it was like half hip hop artist and half like pop punk artist or something like that. I vaguely remember like you put like a decent like combo show together that kind of did pretty dope. So what do you think it is about Jacksonville, Florida? And I posed this question to Mike from Young Ghost, and just talking about like how unique the area is and how it attributes to the music scene.
I just think, you kind of have like a lot of different genres. I feel like Jacksonville is kind of known for more of the hardcore scene. There's a lot of underground shows. There's some smaller venues that are still around that still do like the hardcore shows. And then, you have like the metal shows. And, I know back in the day, we had like 3 or 4 different bookers. We had like Rory and just different people just doing different kinds of shows. I mean, I think that we really have a strong scene of hardcore and pop punk and, a few different genres in between too. I think that, for the most part, like everybody is just into different stuff, and it can be kind of tough, if you have, 3 or 4 shows coming in within, a month, just promoting it and just trying to get people to come out. And I feel like people have always pretty much supported, any type of music for the most part, but I feel like Jacksonville's just always been known for hardcore.
Yeah, man, definitely see that. But I've seen some trends here and there, different things that, especially my time in Florida, I think like, wow, they booked this band with this band, and you kind of like, especially the fest, that we used to have back in the day, especially, where like, load in was at like 1 o'clock and the first band was on at like 3 or 4, and we'd be there, pretty much all day, all night, man. And just everybody hanging out, pretty much kind of like sitting around waiting for the next band and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I miss some of those days, man. It was a little bit simpler, a little easier, man. And it was just like, hey, what show's going on today, man? Like, and nothing to do, man. Let's go to this show, and I think that's something I enjoyed about the Jacksonville scene, which is, it didn't really need to be a huge band. It just needed to be music being on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, man. And that's some of those things. Cause I mean, shoot, I can remember playing with, what was it, Paddock Park before they became We Are Defiance or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And those guys were like super cool, super chill. Even the guys like from Endwell and stuff like that. Just having like really cool demeanors, really cool attitudes, and not being like, fuck, we're rock stars or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I think that's one of the cool things about being in the Jacksonville scene. You definitely, I'm sure there's some people who have different experiences, but for the most part, I've kind of gotten the ability to meet some pretty cool artists who weren't, high on their shit. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, since we're talking about, people not being too high on their shit, you don't have to name any names because I don't, this is not that kind of podcast, but do you ever remember a booking situation where you were like, this is going to get out of hand, or fuck, this is a bad situation?
I have had a couple bands come at me for sure. There's one, I'm not going to name them, but they had just got signed. It was years back. It was something that wasn't even something that I was even handling. I think Bruce put them on the show, and I think you promised them some money or something, and they came at me and were threatening me. And I was just like, wow. This is not me, guys.
Holy shit.
So it's just funny, and they're still going strong. And like, I have no bad blood with them. It's stuff like that happens, miscommunication, such like that. I think that just, that happens sometimes with booking. And I think you were mentioning earlier about the mixed genres of shows. Actually, the hip hop artist, I actually did not book for that. Bruce did. And it kind of came like one show. And yeah, it would sometimes happen like that. Sometimes, like other bands would get thrown on that really didn't fit the show necessarily, but it was a clash of genres. And I don't know. I like it. I just love the different genres together. I just think it brings out a different kind of fans, and it can introduce people to different kinds of music. And that's kind of what my goal was, always doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. And I see it over here sometimes. There's a pro wrestling company over here that kind of does this mix with live bands and professional wrestling. And I think that's kind of cool. You're getting a little bit of everything. You kind of get your money's worth if you think about it. You're spending $20 on a ticket. You're getting metal or a band or a hip hop artist or whatever, plus professional wrestling. It's kind of like a good meeting of both worlds. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Especially in the entertainment part of that. But that's crazy, man. I'm sure it's just one of those things where as the artist, they're just like trying to protect themselves, and they're like, oh, well, it's this guy's fault, whatever the case is, and not understanding that, you're just there to just kind of facilitate things, not really in charge of it,
Right. It happens, it's just one of those situations. But for the most part, most of the artists that I've ever worked with have been nothing but professional and chill and cool. And they've had nice things to always say about me when I was doing bookings. So, I always had a really good time with it. And, I definitely think back on those memories and wish to still kind of do it at sometimes. And now we're, kind of in this pandemic, and it's kind of funny because, I was thinking about it. Me and my wife, me and her haven't been able to go to any shows, with all this going on. And we were just thinking the last show that we went to was at 1904, and it's been over a year now.
Wow.
And it's really funny too, because Impending Doom is supposed to come here at Murray Hill, and they've canceled the show 3 times now.
Wow.
And I did tickets for it about a year and a half ago, and it's just crazy, man. I just want to go to a show at this point.
Yeah, I'm wondering how it's going to go. Actually, July, I've had Ghost Inside tickets for about a year now.
Gosh.
Yeah, this was supposed to be like their 3rd or 4th show from the comeback or whatever the case is. And I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen here, because Massachusetts, I wouldn't say Massachusetts is locked up over here, but we're definitely there isn't any signs yet that suggest our governor is going to be lifting any restrictions. Whereas in Connecticut, which is literally a state over, they're talking May 19th, they're back to 100%, with certain businesses obviously having discretion about who wears masks and stuff like that. So
right.
I don't know. It is kind of a weird time. It's really, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how far shows are going to come back in full strength and stuff like that. So for me, I don't know. I'm just glad my family's good. My family's healthy. Me and my wife are vaccinated. So, I'm glad those things are kind of working for us right now and stuff like that. So what was the last show that you went to at 1904? If you don't mind me asking.
So it was Burials, The Dealer. Trying to think who else it was. It was like 2 or 3 other bands, but they were all on tour together. And then, there was another show that came on after that, but I honestly can't remember right now. But yeah, we went to a couple shows, and honestly, I just want to go to a show at this point. I know we do have some shows going on at like Jackrabbits and Murray Hill, like they're, smaller, like local bands and stuff like that. But obviously no big artists are really touring at this time. So, I've seen stuff where there's festivals going to be apparently going in the fall, like Rockville and stuff and Daytona. Yeah. So I'm hoping that turns out and, we can actually go to something like that. I mean, I'm ready for it. So.
Yeah. Oh, so, so now we're talking about that. How did I don't know if you know anything about it. I don't know if you would know anything about it. How did the Newfound Glory show happen that just happened like a week or 2 ago in the Landing?
To be honest with you, I'm not even sure. I didn't get a chance to go to that one, but, man, that would have been cool to see, because I love them. I just, I've been listening to them a lot lately. So.
I think it's crazy because I was showing my wife this video. I was like, yo, Florida is just doing Florida right now. You know what I'm saying? They are out there just, you know what I'm saying? And it did look like at certain points, it looked like the crowd was kind of on each other. But then I've seen photographs from other people where it just kind of looked like the perspective is everybody was kind of spaced out, but there was a lot of land I guess, that they were at, or whatever the case is. So I don't know. I just thought I'd ask you, because it's just, it's kind of crazy, or whatever the case is, man. So, and speaking after booking and stuff like that, man, you are a husband now, you are a father. Talk about that, man. How is that affecting you, especially right now in a pandemic and stuff like that?
Honestly, my son's going to be 10 this year. And honestly, it's definitely been a blessing to have him. I think like when you have a kid, just like everything changes your life, your whole perspective on life, and
for sure,
what you want to do for your kid. Like everybody always wants their kid to have, a better life than they did. And just, you want to be that guidance to push them in the right direction, and just, give them the positive vibes. I mean, especially with kind of like in the world today, like, you just want to, block out the naysayers and just, keep moving forward and be positive,
Yeah, man, that's for sure. I completely understand that. My son is actually going to be 11 this year. So, and it is kind of interesting to see how he's grown. And I also have a stepdaughter as well, too. She's about to be 12 this year, and I've been in her life since she was about 6-7 years old. So just kind of a interesting thing to see these kids kind of grow up, and, especially with everything that's going on now, man. And I don't know if your son's in like remote, or he's actually in school.
He's actually been in school the entire time. I mean, they have to wear a mask all day, obviously, in class, and he's been doing fine with it. I know last year they pulled them out of school for like the last, I want to say like 4 or 5 months. And to me, I personally, every kid learns differently, but I think for him personally, being at home, I don't think that they learn as much, just because like there's just too many distractions and such.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I just believe that going to school is probably the best thing, and it's worked for him, and he's got a month left of school pretty much, and it's worked out. So
yeah, no, my kids are I think they wrap up sometime beginning of June, I think, or maybe towards the middle of June. I don't know. I'm not very good with that stuff, but yeah, no, it's just, I feel you on that, especially like, my daughter's kind of thrived being at home, and it's worked out for her. Whereas my son, it's probably been a little bit more difficult for him and stuff like that. So we're hoping next year, all things being good and whatnot, and that they'll both be back in school, hopefully, fingers crossed. And now we're going to transition from that, man, into talking about your YouTube reviews with Ryan. Man, how did you get started with this, and when did you decide, hey man, I should really be reviewing movies?
So I will say like my biggest influence into doing this is, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a big movie reviewer. His name is Chris Stuckman. He does a lot of movie reviews. And he pretty much is like kind of like the influence on me, like getting started. I mean, I did this 4 or 5 months ago and just wanted to start something. I mean, I watched so many movies. I mean, it's no different than me with music. I mean, I listen to so much music. So I like different genres, and I just, I wanted to have a platform of just like putting my thoughts out there, and just, saying what I like and what I dislike about movies. I love talking about it and just telling people my opinions on stuff.
Yeah, man. I feel the same way, but like me and my wife watch a lot of horror movies. And then here and there's a couple movies, if we like the actor or the actress in it, or, we'll see something and be like, hey, let's kind of watch this and check this out. But for the most part, we watch a lot of horror, like a ton of horror. So what particular movie genres excite you? What's something that, like, if it's in this genre, you're like, oh, I'm going to watch this for sure?
So I like you, I love horror movies as well. I like comedy movies, but I don't feel like comedy movies are as big as they used to be. So I feel like horror is like my number one genre. I like action. I'll get into a drama, really pretty much any genre I pretty much will watch. I've watched foreign films, I've watched musicals. I mean, I watch it all pretty much, I love doing different kinds of movies. Cause like when you watch different kind of movies like that, there's so many like aspects, when you're watching a film, you're looking at different things, costume design or, cinematography, the acting, the storyline, the plot, all that kind of stuff comes into effect when you're watching a movie. And, that's what I like to look at when I'm, watching different genres of movies, for sure.
Yeah, man. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, me and my wife have always just kind of been like horror. It's why, like, we like places like Salem and stuff like that. We've been actually a couple times, and we're actually getting ready to go again next month, actually. Again, except this time we're taking our kids. The first 2 times we went by ourselves.
Nice.
This time we're kind of taking the kids. And there's actually a store in Salem called Count Olaf's, which, if people don't know, that's a reference to Nosferatu, the vampire, because they couldn't get Dracula, so they went with Count Olaf. And it's a store you pay to go inside, and it has movie, or I think some of them are replicas, some of them are actual legitimate set pieces from different movies such as Predator, Jason, Dracula, Aliens, you name it in the horror genre. You can kind of see it in this. It's a small little museum. It's a nice little walkthrough. And some of the, like, seeing some of this stuff, the detail that's in it is just absolutely, it's amazing, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking about set pieces and you're talking about costumes. This is definitely one of those places. If you ever get a chance to come up here, Ryan, definitely I would suggest you go check it out. Oh,
definitely. My wife has talked about doing stuff like that. She likes horror movies as well. So it would be such a cool thing to do, for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The only thing I don't like about it is they don't allow you to take pictures in there.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, exactly. You can walk in there, you can't take any pictures and whatever the case is. And the weird part about it is there's no music, there's no nothing. So when you walk into a room with all of these displays, if you will, it's almost creepier. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It's like even more like, you're like standing face to face with like an actual Kane Halder worn Jason outfit, and it's just like, holy shit, it's just so intense, so creepy. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That sounds awesome, dude.
No,
it really
for
does.
Sure. For sure, man, it does. So let's talk about some movies, man. What are some movies you've recently been watching that you are like, they're a lot better than what people say? We might as well start with the one that everyone seems to have a controversy about. They either like it or they don't like it. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat.
So Mortal Kombat, I'm just going to be honest. I didn't really play a lot of the games back when I was growing up. It was definitely a setup movie for the next one, for sure, where they're getting into the tournament. And, I think for fans that maybe aren't really into Mortal Kombat or haven't been introduced, it might be a little tougher for them to get into the movie, because with the characters, they don't really introduce who they are all that much. I mean, a little bit is in there, but for that aspect, I think when they make the next one, I think it's going to be even better for maybe even non-fans, I would think. Because, overall, I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think that for maybe non-fans, it may be a little bit tougher for certain people to maybe get into, maybe. But overall, they had some pretty cool scenes.
For sure.
Different references and stuff from the game, stuff like that. So
I thought it was a pretty good movie in the sense of the fight scenes were really good, especially the fatality scenes, if you will, seeing actual fatalities from the game actually on screen. What I thought was really, really cool. But for story wise, this was not a good story. I don't think
I agree.
It was not a good story, but I do see what you're saying in the reference of this was kind of a setup movie. I felt like it was one of those things where, like, like a roller coaster, you have that moment where you're on the roller coaster and you're starting to build to that first hill before you hit the drop, and whatever the case is. I feel like as soon as you got on the roller coaster, you hit the drop when you watch this movie. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You hit it as soon as you walked in. It was just like, oh, by the way, all of a sudden we got destinies now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got shit to do. Come on, guys. You know what I'm saying? You got a mark on you. Like, let's go do this shit real quick. But I still don't think I think 50% of a movie is the story and 50% is what you actually see on screen. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know how you feel about that. But yeah, I felt like the story was not the strongest but the fight scenes were well done. Definitely look better than the 1995 movie, which that one, there was so much problem with that story. I don't know if you've ever seen the first one.
I
First
actually
live
have
action
not
movie.
seen any of them, actually, other than the newest one. I just, when I was younger, I didn't watch as many movies as I do now. So
Yeah. If you get a chance, yeah, I mean, you get a chance. It's you're not missing much, man. It's kind of interesting. I feel like that movie aimed to get people who looked like they would fit those characters more. Whereas this movie, is a little bit different. Definitely, I think the character that stood out the most, and everybody will say this, is the guy who played Kano. He did absolutely amazing. He was hilarious. He was very much like the character in the game. But I feel like he was like turned on blast. It's almost like, reminds me of how Christopher Nolan made Bane a way bigger deal than what he actually was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I feel that same way about Kano's character. He feels like a way bigger deal than what he actually is.
Definitely.
And I don't know. So transition from a movie like that, anything like you've seen recently that you're like either blown away by or something you're like, hey, people should check this out.
I had to think about. I watched, like I said, a lot of different stuff. I know for a kids movie, I can name Raya and the Last Dragon was really good. I really enjoyed that with my kid. That was really good. Mm-hmm. Let me think about this. I really liked Nobody. That reminded me of like a John Wick type of film.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. Really horror movies, I can't really think of anything lately. I just recently saw Separation and I thought that movie was terrible.
Really? Yeah, as I can see, that's your last video you posted up on your YouTube. So yeah, I haven't seen it, but it definitely looked good to me and my wife. So now that you're saying that, I'm just kind of like, wonder if we should really be watching that movie.
So the director of that movie, I don't know if you've seen these other movies, but he directed The Boy 2, and The Devil Inside. So that's kind of his resume.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so me and my wife were definitely high on The Boy. We definitely liked The Boy, but The Boy 2 was kind of like, ooh, you know what I'm saying?
It was trash.
It was. That first movie, the unique concept of someone living in your fucking house, it was just like and the crazy part is like, it's right now me and my wife are actually looking into getting into a home right now. And that's all I can think about now is just like, there's someone living in the fucking walls. You know what I'm saying?
I really liked it. It was good. I mean, I really did enjoy it in the twist in that one.
And it's like I said, it is a good twist because at first you think it's a haunting, a possession, who fucking knows? And then to find out it's just someone living in the walls of a house for so long, it's like, that is intense to me.
It is.
So in horror movie wise, man, what's a horror movie you maybe think people are sleeping on? Because me and my wife are always looking for good horror movies to find. For her, she likes more of the paranormal, haunting type movies. Me, I like the gory stuff. I'm talking Terrifier stuff. I'm talking The Collection type shit.
Oh, man, it's a good question. So there's a horror movie that I watched on Hulu. It's called The Lodge. Okay. I really like that movie. It's not a big movie or anything, but I just kind of found it on Hulu. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty interesting movie. It's more of it's not really possession or anything, but it has to do with like a cult and stuff like that. So, I really enjoyed that movie. I watched that movie some months ago, but I really did enjoy that film for sure. And, I watch all different genres, like I said. So I just, any type of horror movie, I'm pretty much the watch. I mean, I watch from the really high budget ones to like the B flick type movies that you just happen to randomly find on Hulu or Netflix or whatever. Yeah. So.
And my son, my wife one time spent an afternoon watching like really bad horror sci-fi movies with my son. And one of them was Killer Werewolf. It was like a werewolf mixed with like a killer whale, and then Sharktopus. Okay. That's another one I remember. Oh, and oh my God, what was it? Oh my God, Atomic Shark. Holy shit. You want to talk about a fucking crazy movie? Atomic Shark. horrible CGI, but kind of, I would actually almost want them to spend the money on a big budget to see if this movie would be better in a big budget format than like a, is this one of those things where like certain movies I think would hit different with a bigger budget? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. I mean, it's just a matter of what your interests are and what you're willing to watch. I mean, I can remember one insane movie that I think is just funny is, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Rubber. It's like a killer tire.
Oh, yes. I was literally just talking about this with somebody the other day, and it has like telekinetic powers, and it's like out to get someone who killed his family or some shit like that. It's like almost, and the way that the movie's presented is it's so serious. It's not like presented like it's a ha 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 comedy. It's presented, it's presented like quite seriously, and that's even funnier. Have you seen the movie Psycho Goreman?
I have not. I actually have not heard of that one.
Okay, so it's on Shudder, which once again, I told you, me and my wife are like big into horror, so we would have the horror version of Netflix, which is Shudder. Check it out, man. It's actually quite comical and extremely gory. Like I said, dark comedy kind of, and I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, Psycho Goreman. That's that's an interesting movie, interesting watch. Because we like watching some of those Shudder exclusives. The other one that I saw, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was basically a very plausible concept. A guy who's a quote unquote priest, quotation marks, is performing Exorcist every week, and then during one of the shows, it actually turns out to actually be the fucking devil this time.
That's crazy.
And The Cleansing, that's what it's called. The Cleansing.
Okay. I've actually heard of that one.
Yeah, also on Shudder. So I would suggest maybe try that little, 7-day trial and watch those two movies and put up a review for either one of those. That'd be dope.
Definitely, man.
So let's are you into any of the superhero movies?
I do watch, Marvel and DC. I know probably some people won't like me to say this, but I like DC more than I like Marvel.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody, character wise, I'm not even gonna lie, I do like DC better, but for the movies right now, it's Marvel's just knocking it out of the park, man, every time. Budget, and including story. And that's the other thing too, because they're pulling, and I think that's something people forget is when it comes to comic book movies, there is so much lore for every character, Right. So you can kind of pull different things from different series when it pertains to the character and stuff like that.
Definitely.
So what was your thoughts on the whole 4-hour Schneider cut of the Justice League movie? Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I thought it was a little long, but I did like that they dove into different characters on that. I really want them to do a Cyborg film. I really liked his kind of little backstory that they did in that. I really enjoyed that. I thought that it was a pretty well done movie. I really liked it, but I can see why they didn't put it in theaters, mainly because it's just too long. Because I know theaters across the country can't show a certain runtime of movie. I think they have a rule in like China or something like that where they can't show a movie that's over like 2.5 hours or something like that. It's some type of rule.
So do you think this would have been a movie that had been done better in like a part 2, like a part 1 and a part 2, as opposed to like a whole 4-hour runtime?
Probably so. I mean, it is a long time to watch. And, I've seen some people that have watched it like 4 and 5 times. I'm like, dang, where do you guys get time to watch a 4-hour movie?
No, for real, because I started watching it and I got maybe to 1 hour and like 45 minutes. And I have yet to go back to start watching it again because it's daunting and I have a lot of things going on. A movie I will say I've seen a lot because my son is absolutely obsessed with it is King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, it's great. I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah, my son's watched it about 4 times, and I would have to say it is hands down his favorite movie. I enjoyed it, man. I thought when you're talking about Godzilla and King Kong, there's so many bad movies, so many of them.
Yes.
And this one, I thought legitimately, story was a little crazy, but wasn't terrible. But I also think the story in that kind of a movie, the story needs to play background to the two characters because that's the story. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Two big ass titans. I also like that they added more lore to the story about each one of them and how they connect more. But to be perfectly honest, this was kind of more of a King Kong movie where Godzilla asserts his dominance. I think I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it was great. I'm actually Team Godzilla, but I like them both. I think they both come from really good stories. I've seen all the recent ones anyway. I've seen, Kong Skull Island. I've seen the last two Godzillas. So, I was really hyped for this movie. I really liked it. I got the poster hung up in my garage. So, I loved it.
Hell yeah.
So,
no, I thought it was really well done. And anybody who doesn't have a 4K TV, you should definitely watch it in a 4K TV because it definitely makes all the difference. I absolutely loved it even more because of that. Over Christmas, we got like a Samsung Series 8 TV, which it runs in true 4K. So to watch it in actual 4K, man, just made it even look like the sets and everything about it, the cities and stuff like that really pop. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, my son has watched it like 5 times now. I think he tries to show it to everybody who comes to the house now.
It's awesome, dude. The fight scenes are great.
Oh yeah, very well done. So here's like a hypothetical question: where do you think they can go with the series now that we've kind of had the first confrontation where, Godzilla's like, and I don't want to ruin it for too many people, but it's been out for a while now. So if you haven't watched it, I apologize for whatever I'm spoiling for you, but pretty much at the end of the movie, it's like Godzilla's like, listen, man, I'm going to check your ass the next time I see you. You know what I'm saying? And King Kong's like, all right, man, whatever. It's on site when I see you. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel like they can go from this? What other monster could they inject to it? Like to kind of make it, they've already done Ghidorah. They've done Mothra. You just had Mechagodzilla. Who really is there left to do besides Godzilla's son Godzuki? Like, I don't even know where you go from there.
Yeah, it's a good question, really. It makes you wonder if they would ever actually team up to fight anything else that's more dangerous, really, than them too. I'm not really sure where they would go with it from this point, but I mean, it's hard to play up to that. It was such a good film, and I just, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, if you are in for fight scenes, and that's what you got in that movie. You got some story too, but the whole point of the movie is them beating the crap out of each other. So
yeah, man. And actually the crazy part too is some of the comic relief wasn't too bad either. Even though I know there was like a big uproar about the young lady who was in Godzilla King of All Monsters, and in this one for some reason people didn't like the fact that she was in there, which I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought that what they did with her was pretty interesting. And then the gentleman who played like the conspiracy theorist dude, he was hilarious. Just
exactly.
Absolutely amazing. He's like, tap or no tap? Like, it was so funny. It was like, what does that have to do with it? He's like, yeah, you look like you drink tap. So now we talked about movies that recently come out. Are there any movies that you're excited about that are coming out soon?
So A Quiet Place 2 for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's another movie you were just talking about, the woman that's in Godzilla. Her name's Rebecca Hall. She's coming out with a movie called The Night House. I think that's what it's called, The Night House, I believe. It comes out in July. That's another horror film. I'm just trying to think what else. I know my son's excited to see Peter Rabbit 2. We always, go out and watch the kids' movies. He's all into that. So
yeah.
I'm just happy realistically that movies are coming out. I actually work a side job at a theater, so I actually, have seen the numbers growing, which is great. Godzilla was a big help to that. And I'm just glad that some of these other films are coming out, like Fast and Furious and such. Yeah. That's really going to help the movie industry flourish and get better. And then you have all these theaters opening back up. Regal Cinemas, they're opening all their theaters up by the end of May here coming up. So
wow, that's cool.
That's really going to help. And I'm just glad to see it because, it's just, movie industry to me it's just something that, gets your mind away from life and just, sitting in a theater and just taking your mind off and shutting it off and, shutting that phone off for, 2 hours or however long. I mean, that's just, that's everything, just to me anyway.
No, man. And you're for sure about that. Cause while I'm not even going to lie, I have really, really enjoyed things like HBO Max, and other, Amazon and stuff like that have, bringing us movies that we probably should have gone and seen in theaters. It is a different experience when you're at home and you don't have to sneak food into the movie theater. You know what I'm saying? Right. But also at the same time, I think my wife said it, the appeal of sneaking food into the movie theater when you're not supposed to have it is kind of fun too. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. You're not necessarily supposed to have that, and I'm not advocating for anybody to do that, but I mean, let's be honest, prices are a bit ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, but I also enjoy that experience of just, it's somebody else's house, if you will, you get to relax and kind of sit up and relax. And if I don't know if you notice, a lot of these movie theaters, especially over here in Massachusetts, a lot of them have gone with the big recliner thing. That's a huge deal now, the recliners that recline all the way back, the feet up in the air, all that stuff like that, especially over here in Mass and stuff like that. But before we go, I want to talk about two movies that I'm super, super excited about. The first one is, the movie Spiral, which is kind of like an offshoot from the Saw series. I'm excited / almost ready to be disappointed because of Chris Rock is in the movie. You know what I'm saying? So while I'm excited to see it because I actually really enjoy the Saw series, I'm questioning how serious Chris Rock can be. You know what I'm saying?
I feel the same way. I'm not sure if he's going to be a miscast or not. And you're just used to him being in those funny roles. So it's going to be really interesting seeing him in that role. I feel the same.
Yeah, man. And it does seem like an interesting, unique concept. I think the people who do Saw probably could come up with like 60 other Saw movie type deals. You know what I'm saying? And for some reason for me, I rather enjoy them, even though some of them are super cheesy. I think the gore factor for me is there. Especially this is what I look for when it comes to a horror movie. So I'm excited about that. But the other one I'm super, super excited about in August is the Jordan Peele remake of Candyman. That is one that me and my wife are super excited. What are your thoughts and opinion on that one after seeing a few trailers and stuff like that?
Honestly, I haven't seen the originals. It's funny that you mentioned Candyman. Actually, my son in the car yesterday goes, "Hey, Dad, I saw a poster at the movie theater called a movie called Candyman. What's the Candyman about?" So I was like, "It's a movie you can't watch yet."
Oh man, I don't even.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just not something you can watch yet, but it's, I'm really looking forward to coming out. It's been delayed for so long now. Yeah. I've just been wanting to watch it. So like I said, I haven't seen the original, but I'm really interested to see this version of it. And, maybe I might watch some of the older ones and see how those were compared to this one, but I'm excited for it too. Yeah,
man, I would definitely watch at least part one. Because part one, this presents so many questions. It's one of those movies where halfway through it, you almost question what exactly you're watching. Not in the sense of it's a bad movie, but what are you actually watching? What is the perspective is what I kind of, I'm not trying to give too much away because I want you to watch it. Right. But you're trying to figure out what perspective am I actually being presented to me in this area. And for it being the early 90s is actually quite amazing that happened the way that it did. But I'm also excited because I don't know, Jordan Peele has just, now we go from talking about how it's crazy Chris Rock, who's generally a comedian, is doing a horror movie and whether we don't take it so seriously. But with Jordan Peele, who naturally is a comedic person, has been knocking it out of the park when it pertains to horror movies. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? When we think about Get Out and what was the other one he did?
He did Us.
Oh yeah, that's right. Us too. And that was a crazy movie in itself too. Me and my wife definitely went and watched that one. Talk about a concept right there. But yeah, no, it's just kind of weird how like it was like Jordan Peele horror movie. Oh yeah, we're all about that. But like a Chris Rock led horror movie, it's just like, oh know.
It makes you wonder, that's for sure.
No, for sure. And it, like I said, I'm kind of going into it with like, yo, I really want to watch this because I do, like I said, I like the Saw series, but also at the same time, my question is it just going to be jokes all the time? Like, are we going to get like some actual shit? Stuff like that. But anyways, Ryan, I want to wrap this up, man. I just want to say thank you for coming through, man. And anybody who is interested in watching Ryan do some reviews and find out some movies you should be checking out, or maybe some movies you should avoid, Separation, apparently, check out Ryan at Reviews with Ryan, exclamation point, to find him on YouTube, man. And thank you, Ryan, man. I appreciate this, man. We haven't talked in a while, man. And it just felt like we hadn't missed a beat, man.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. And hopefully we'll do this again. Maybe we'll do something a little bit more interesting next time. Cool.
Definitely. I definitely would. I'm up for it.
Sure. For sure, man. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you very much, man.